So it's 6:30. And with that, we're going to start the meeting. I did want to welcome everyone to the board meeting this evening. And again, as I stated a couple minutes ago, we do all have our mute buttons. And if we have any trouble with background noise or et cetera, we have a great IT department to help us work through that. So thank you again, IT department. With that, I'm going to call roll first, and then we'll move to the next item on the agenda. And so with that, just announce present, if you would, please. Ms. Maya?
Present.
Mr. Hendricks?
Present.
Ms. McGrath?
Present.
Dr. Narini?
Present.
Dr. Thor? Dr. Thor, are you with us?
Yes, present.
Thank you. Ms. Nguyen?
Present.
Thank you. So all of our mics are working. We're all present. And with that, I know it seems odd to do a Pledge of Allegiance at your home. Some of you may choose to stand, others may not. Some of you have flags, others, it's your choice what to do. But with that, because it's on the agenda, Mr. Saar, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Saar. Moving through the agenda, the next item is substitutions. There being none that I'm aware of. I'd like to move their student life reports, of which there are none. And that takes us to the Faculty Executive Council report. Mr. Hefner.
Hi, good evening. President Sullivan, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, members of CEC and guests, people who are attending virtually. This is Keith Hefner, and this is my last governing board meeting as the president of the Faculty Association and Faculty Executive Council. It's been my honor to serve this past year alongside so many brilliant and dedicated employees across our district. But most of all, I am deeply indebted to my colleagues and friends on the FEC that surrounded me with support and guidance. Their skills and talents are formidable, and I've always believed I felt a little bit smarter when in their company, including virtually. This semester, under extraordinary circumstances, we as a district managed to pull out a functional semester from the jaws of a terrible pandemic. In the midst of encroaching doom, we chose to unite in a framework of shared governance to overcome a mountain of obstacles. I am proud to have been part of that revitalization of communication and mutual respect for all employees that helped us see it through. Still knowing there's a lot more work to be done. Honest, transparent, consistently reliable, and humble leadership allows that level of cooperation to happen. There are, of course, things left undone from my to-do list. One of the things we didn't get to do were conversations with the governing board, exploring topics in academic freedom, governance at the post-secondary level, peer review, faculty senates, faculty executive council, and other topics that I believe would have helped us understand each other better. It's never too late to do this, and I believe it should be something we schedule with the board at least once a semester. Although I wish I could have done more, I have no regrets. And I ask my faculty colleagues to consider the benefits and rewards of serving in faculty leadership roles to engage in, advance, and improve our role in shared governance opportunities. Moving forward, it's my pleasure to introduce our new Faculty Association Faculty Executive Council presidents, whose terms begin officially on May 11th and run to the end of spring 2021. Serving as president this year is Patrice Nango, philosophy faculty at MCC, and our president-elect is Sasha Radicic, economics faculty at GCC. I will now be serving as the past president. Stay safe, be well, and I hope we will all continue to do good works on behalf of our students and communities we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hefner. I know I speak on behalf of the board that we appreciate your leadership this past year and appreciate your openness and conversations with us as they did occur. It's always regretful that we can't squeeze in one more, and we recognize that there are more to have with you and your colleagues. So to the degree that remote access makes it a little more difficult, when we have further opportunity, let's just plan on it and move forward with your recommendation. So with that, again, good luck to you and welcome Ms. Nanko to your leadership.
Thank you, President Sullivan.
You're welcome, Mr. Hefner. Moving on then, we move on to the Adjunct Faculty Association report. Mr. Roddy.
Hello, this is Patrick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
President Sullivan, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, members of the CEC, and virtual guests. My name is Patrick Roddy. I currently serve as the president of the Adjunct Faculty Association of Maricopa Community Colleges. As an adjunct faculty member, I teach motion picture and television production at Scottsdale Community College. I appreciate the opportunity to provide you with a brief update tonight. The Outstanding Adjunct Award celebration that was scheduled for last month, unfortunately, like many other events this semester, was canceled. The AFA board is still trying to move forward with producing a recorded awards program that will recognize the winners from each campus and then be presented on the AFA website. Our hope is that some of you on the call tonight will be able to participate by providing a short video message, and I will be reaching out to some of you in the coming days with more information and specific requests. Dr. Gonzalez has recognized repeatedly the incredible effort from all faculty, staff, and administration, which ensured the continuation of quality instruction for our students during this crisis. But I would like to take a moment and recognize the adjunct faculty of Maricopa, part-time employees who rose to this challenge with a deep commitment to our students' success. As we continue to weather this storm, understand and plan for the future, the AFA hopes we will continue to consider the benefits of retaining these skilled educators, as well as providing adjunct faculty the necessary training to meet the demands of different course delivery modes. Adjunct faculty have a large part to play in our students' success and are an invaluable resource that provide not only expertise, but flexibility for our district in these uncertain times. That concludes my remarks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ruddy, and we look forward to hearing more about your award program. So thank you for that. Next item on our agenda is the Maricopa Student Senate report. We have a year-end report from our Student Senate Chair. Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you guys for allowing me to be here. President Sullivan, governing board members, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the CEC, and guests. My name is Jalissa Munoz from Mesa Community College, and I am this year's Student Senate Chair. I am also the first chair of Maricopa Community College, and I would just like to take a moment to thank you all for the opportunity that you have given us as Student Senate. Going on to the presentation. So our first business that we've been taking into account is COVID-19, like everybody else working within Maricopa. So the senators shared some of the information from their schools, which obstacles that students were having to overcome. We also were able to share information within each other, scholarship opportunities, other resources, unemployment, and things like that. We were also able to broaden our audience and take it back to our schools give that information to other students. Revolution, which is a Chandler Gilbert Community College student organization, sent in a petition with a list of demands requesting that the senators endorse these requests to assist students during the pandemic. We just recently had an emergency meeting for this and just kind of reviewed the different demands which they had and debated whether we would support them or disagree with them. And we actually just finished giving our final letter to the club, and we have sent that into Chancellor Gonzalez. The Senate also responded to the group, and hopefully we will be able to meet with the Chancellor to discuss different issues which we do support them with. Following up, we have had virtual meetings. I am very thankful that we have been able to continue our job as Student Senate. We were able to meet with Congressman Greg Stanton and Interim Chancellor Dr. Stephen Gonzalez. We were able to speak on behalf of the issues of COVID-19, which were going on within Maricopa Community Colleges, but also outside that were happening within the state of Arizona. Next, we did put together a video for the Student Senate and the Student Governing Board member just to kind of promote. Originally, our plans were to go to the different college campuses and promote what our position does and just talk to the students and be with them. But unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we weren't able to do it. Therefore, we came together and put this video together. Marketing also helped us. And I would just like to take a few moments of your time to watch it briefly.
Pardon me while I figure out how to get the video to show.
It's okay.
There was an arrow. No, if you didn't see it, Tina.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get, which of course it's not showing the video. Well, let's try that again. Share my screen. Go back to the YouTube video. Are you seeing all this?
Yep.
Audibly? Okay, I apologize.
Okay. There you go. There, see the arrow? Here.
Wadley, and I am Gateway.
My name is and
My name is
My name is Vance Grant, and I am Real Salvador.
My name is Wesley Smith, and I am Scottsdale.
one representative for each college that represents the entire student body.
We get together to speak about the issues that each college is facing. We're on a matter of entire district.
Many opportunities that are there as student senator. I'm a student senator because I want to voice
I want to community for students.
I want to provide assistance to the students who feel underrepresented.
I am a student senator because I want to empower students to be the voice of change.
I want to be a bridge between the students and the schools.
I enjoy being involved on campus and helping as many students as I possibly can.
I am a student senator because I want to grow myself both as a person and as a student.
I want to collaborate and advocate for my student body.
We
are your
student
senator.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alejandra Maya, and I currently attend Glendale Community College in Rio Salado. I'm the first student governing board member for the Maricopa Community College District. My job consists of attending meetings, events, and to advocate for all student needs within 10 Maricopa Community Colleges. This opportunity has brought me amazing learning experiences and has allowed me to grow as a leader in my community. We represent you. We make sure your voice is heard.
Be the next student senator for your college.
Or student governing board member.
Apply now on the district website.
Thank you, Tina. I know that was a little difficult to watch with the audio and everything. So if you guys do have a moment and would like to see the video, it is on the district website.
Perfect.
Following with that, so our term is ending. So the 2020 and 2021 Student Senate and Student Governing Board member applications were just received within the last, I believe, 2 weeks. They're being interviewed this week. Actually, they will begin to be interviewed tomorrow, to be exact. The Senate will be interviewing Student Governing Board member applicants next week. Both the new senators and the Student Governing Board members will be announced during the June governing meeting. So that is something that the interviewing will be taking place by the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. And those of us who are applying for the governing board member position will be part of the selection process. Lastly, those are a couple of pictures that we have taken throughout the year at the different various events that we have attended. And just so you guys can see us as a whole and see how much we have grown in our leadership skills. Lastly, I wanted to take a moment to thank you all. I wanted to take everyone who put numerous hours into creating the Student Senate. I know this was an ongoing uprise for past years, not just this year. I want to thank the students who stood up and decided to be the voice of their school, all 10 community colleges being represented. I want to also thank everybody who was there for us, who provided us with so many different leadership opportunities to learn and grow as a leader of Maricopa Community Colleges, for attending all these events that we were invited to. And most of all, I really want to thank the advisors, Felicia Gunther, Andrea Banks, and all of the other ones who, have put in numerous hours attending the meetings, guiding us through the various processes, like the COVID-19 petition. That was something new that I am so thankful that they were able to guide me on the correct path. And just for creating the Student Senate, because I know we want to make sure that students have their voices heard. And I believe that this was truly an organization that was put together to do that. And I hope that the students continue to come to us and realize that we are there for them, because we are a student just like them. Some of us are full-time, some of us are part-time, some of us work for the school. We are a reflection of them. So I want them to know that we are here for them. So thank you for allowing me to present on behalf of the Student Senate.
Thank you very much, Ms. Munoz, and thank you to all of the senators who have served so graciously this year. We are delighted that you find both benefit and appreciation of the Senate and look forward to working with the Senate many more years to come. So thank you. Any other comments before the students board members?
Thank you, Jaleesa. That was a lovely presentation.
Thank you.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan? This is Mrs. Nguyen. Hi.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank I just wanted to acknowledge and appreciate all the students who did this. I was really thrilled when we wanted to have not only a student representative, but that the students took on having a student senate. And I think that they made all of their colleges very proud, and we should be proud of them for the work that they have done. And they've set a really high bar for those that will follow afterwards. So they've laid a foundation for future leaders. They have represented as well. And I am so sorry that we look at your faces and tell you, but I really appreciate all the hard work that you've done. It's hard enough to be a student, but to take on this additional leadership role really represents us well in the community. And we just, I feel a great debt of gratitude and appreciation for the work that these students have done. So thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Well said, Mrs. Nguyen. Any other comments? If none, I'm going to move to the Chancellor's report. With that, Dr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, President Sullivan. Good evening, members of the board and CEC and guests that are virtually listening and participating. In hearing the previous presentations, I want to express my sincere gratitude for Professor Hefner for serving as FEC president during this year. He and I have had the opportunity to work together on past projects when he served as FEC president a few years back, and I've enjoyed working with him then, and I enjoyed working with him now, and it's been a pleasure getting to know Patrice, and I'm looking forward to getting to know Sasha, and so I welcome them to FEC leadership and thereby the CEC team. And I want to thank Professor Patrick as well for representing the adjuncts. They've done a great job of helping us with this tremendous lift this past semester. And then, of course, our student leaders and the opportunity that we've had to work with them, and they've had to work with us. We just appreciate that leadership. So a big thank you to everybody that spoke before me. Certainly levels of servant leadership that I've witnessed. As far as my portion of the presentation, we had an opportunity to speak briefly last week on enrollment, and so more or less this is perhaps to provide you an update with what enrollment is looking like as of a snapshot that was taken on Friday evening. For the fall semester, our head count is down 23.6%. FTSE is down 24.3%, and our summer head count is down 27.9%, and FTSE is down 24.9%. We've gained a little bit of ground on the fall semester, the summer session. The fall semester has been hovering right about that 22 to 24% range. It's very similar to what our sister institutions are experiencing as far as community colleges go across the state and the country. We continue to work diligently in developing new marketing strategies that are different and that address the pandemic and remind students that we are here, that we will continue to be here in the fall, albeit we're not entirely sure what that looks like, but that they can count on us for the number of ways in which we deliver the quality instruction that we deliver to them. So you're going to see some campaigning and messaging around that very soon. And again, we have each of the college teams are working closely with Dr. Fisher's office and our marketing office at the local college level and district levels to just develop a strategy that is quite different in our approach. So you're going to see many of the typical things that we do to recruit students and retain students, but you're going to begin to see things that are different and reaching the audience in a different way. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. I've got some folks that are available to answer any of the more specific questions around what some of those marketing strategies might look like, but that's my update on enrollment.
Are there any other items you wish to update us on at this moment, Dr. Gonzalez?
That's it at the moment.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions for Dr. Gonzalez?
This is Dana.
Yes, please, Mr. Stark, go forward.
Dr. Gonzalez, I know looking at the individual colleges, Mesa has made a fairly substantial improvement in the last year in there, even though it's still down, it's down less than they have been. Do you attribute that to their success in putting the advisors in the high school?
Having watched that from afar as a president of Gateway and now moving into the chancellor's position, I would say that's had a fairly large impact on their ability to, recruit and retain students. We have Dr. Berquam on the line who may be able to respond better to that, but I would say yes. To what degree I would ask her to perhaps weigh in on that, if you would allow.
Yes, absolutely.
Sullivan, governing board members, Chancellor Gonzalez, CEC, community members and guests. Thank you for the question, Chancellor, and for from board member Sauer. Yes, I think the MPS advisors, as we call them, Mesa Public School Advisors, have certainly played an important role in recruiting students and establishing those relationships and establishing them early. I think it's something that we're looking to broaden, and I know that other colleges in the district have done so as well. I think it's a great effort, and we have to keep at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I follow up on that? Do the numbers that we're looking at here include dual enrollment?
President Sullivan, Mr. Thor, my assumption would be yes. I would ask if Dr. Fisher is on to confirm whether these data include our dual enrollment students at this point.
The dashboard doesn't, I'm sorry, Mr. Starr, Ms. Sullivan, member of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, and CEC guests. The answer to that is yes, the dashboard does include dual enrollment students as part of our overall enrollment. A lot of our dual enrollment students, however, have not enrolled for fall yet. So we should see when that influx comes in, we'll see the numbers move.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dr. Gonzalez on enrollment, board members?
Mrs. Sullivan, this is Mrs. Nguyen.
Yes, go.
Dr. Sullivan, Dr. Sullivan, oh my gosh.
That's okay.
Dr. Gonzalez, this is so hard. I can't even tell you looking at the screen. All right, your name just popped up. I apologize. Dr. Gonzalez, you said, oh, so fun. So you said that we were going to have marketing, like traditional marketing, but we're not in traditional times. So I would want to know what that's like, and then non-traditional marketing. So can you kind of flush that out a little bit more so we know what we're talking about? Traditionally be doing. None of the schools are open, so I think that might be part of this mischief in our numbers, besides everything else that's going on. So what are you specifically talking about when you are mentioning marketing, without going into a full marketing plan, but just touch on the high points of what you're thinking about?
Absolutely, President Sullivan, Mrs. Nguyen. What I mean by some of the traditional marketing, some of our social media efforts are typical advertisements that you see when you search higher education in the state of Arizona, that we may show up in a banner, and then that's the typical normal things that continue, just to have a constant presence. And then we're developing some strategies in light of this pandemic and in light of that people are consuming information differently. They're not perhaps driving by billboards that they would normally see. So how else do we do this? And this is where I would ask Dr. Fisher, or if she's got someone from marketing who might be able to just give one or two or three examples of the types of things that we're doing that are quite different from previous marketing strategies.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Nguyen. To answer your question in particular, yes, we are doing our regular sort of digital marketing that's become so much the norm. But when we talk about marketing, we really talk about the 4 Ps. So our product, our price, our place, and our promotion. And promotion is the thing that gets the most attention because it's the billboards, it's the flash, it's the digital ads. We're changing up those ads. We're becoming much more assertive around the value proposition that we offer, particularly to students that maybe are not in our traditional population. That is the college students that were going to universities and are now stuck at home. We're also, as Dr. Narini has encouraged us to do, looking at those out-of-state students. Is there a way to capture a bigger piece of the market of the students that are here, typically just wintering over? So looking at different markets and how we can promote specifically to them. Place, when we're talking about a digital world, is less about where do we advertise out in physical space, but where do we advertise online? So we're using some year-end dollars, and colleges have contributed some of that as well, to increase our search engine optimization so that we are in better position than some of our public institutions that have always beat us in the past. So we're increasing our place. In terms of product, we're looking at particularly working with workforce, our short-term packageable kinds of programs, getting people back to work. And we're really looking around some interesting pricing options. Obviously, we would bring those to the board for approval before moving forward, but just thinking outside the box and how we bring all kinds of different training to folks to help them get on their feet and make sure that our messaging is around helping people get through this particular strange crisis time while looking toward their future.
That's great, Carla. Ms. Fisher, thank you. And I just had one just brief follow-up, and as we look across, we are seeing that people that worked in restaurants and in hotels are going to be probably the last back to work. And have we, as colleges and college presidents, considered what we could do to maybe retrain that workforce, as they may be the last to go back to work and they would still be out here and hopefully have time? So I don't need an answer. I just something to maybe consider. Who are we targeting? These are workers that they could have been students to go back to work. They may have more time in front of them, and maybe going to our college might be an option. Just a thought.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Nguyen. Anyone else?
Ms. Sullivan, if I may?
Yes, Dr. Narini.
Just from personal experience, I know that some of the traditional efforts they're doing are the representatives from the community colleges are still reaching out to the counselors to set up a Zoom meeting and to coordinate with the students, since the high school is still in session and they're doing all their work online too. The coordinator or the recruiters, the outreach people at the colleges are still reaching out to the counselors and reaching out and working one-on-one with the students as well. And one of the things I've been advocating with some of the students that I work with, and it might be a wonderful opportunity for a lot of our students, is if we coordinate some efforts with Learn as an opportunity for those students who are looking to start with us and transfer to the university. It's an opportunity for them to raise up to $8,000 for their university transfer while they're at the community college. That's it.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
This is Dana. Mrs. Nguyen mentioned some things I think I appreciate. We're looking at a lot of different employees that will probably no longer either have their job for the next few months, especially in that area of hospitality and restaurants and so forth. I think we need to really think outside the box when it comes, and Dr. Fisher mentioned the fact that one of the 4 Ps is price. I'm not saying I know all the answers to this, but I could certainly understand eliminating tuition for the fall semester to make sure that those students who are struggling to put food on their table and a roof over their head would love to get back into the college world and enhance their skills. But first things first, and paying thousands of dollars for tuition is not on their agenda right now, I don't think. So I think it's important that the district look at ways out of the box that we can take the barriers away from those students who do need to come to us for those new skills and not have to make a decision on family life over skills. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Gonzalez, do you have a comment?
Yes, Ms. Sullivan and Mr. Sard, to your point, we do have a team. In fact, the presidents are putting together some proposals that look at, as a matter of, if we look at this through the lens of the public purpose that we serve as an organization, and recognizing this great pandemic that, as you mentioned, both of you mentioned the number of people that are that have lost their positions or that will be furloughed or that are looking to change positions. We've always been an affordable institution, but what can we do to become even more affordable, perhaps this summer and through the fall and spring semester? to continue to, serve that public purpose and being there for our community when they need us most.
And as you explore that, when you that group reaches some conclusions, I expect you'll want to share those with the board and for us to have a further conversation.
Absolutely, Mrs. Sullivan. In fact, any change to a tuition model would require governing board approval. So absolutely.
Yes, I just wanted to put a point there. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Gonzalez and his team about enrollment? All right, I hear silence. So being none, I'm going to move us to citizens interim, and I want to check, Ms. Cooper, is there, I don't have any items under that. Did anything perhaps occur recently that I'm unaware of?
That would be Ms. Nipko's province if any items were received.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Nipko.
We did not advertise the email for submission, so we are prepared to offer anybody who might be attending, if they wanted to address the board, to use the waving hand icon, and we can follow up with them.
So this would be their opportunity, and it would be an item. Well, anyway, this would be their opportunity. Leave that open for 30 seconds here while people wave their hand or not. And if there are any waving hands, I'll read the item here. Ms. Nipko, are there any? I can't see any.
Nobody is raising their hand, ma'am, so I believe nobody wishes to address.
Thank you. So we'll move beyond citizens interim. So now we're moving to consideration of the consent agenda. We have several items on that to be addressed. Is there anything for me to, or us to consider prior to moving into a motion on the consent agenda?
Mrs. Sullivan,
Yes.
I'd like to take off 11.2.
All right. So you'd like to move 11.2 off the consent agenda for discussion?
Correct.
Okay. Any other comments about the consent agenda? Before we address that, hello, Ms. Nguyen?
I'm just looking at my agenda and I don't have 11.2, so I'm just confused, but that's okay. The agenda moved off, but that's my question, but
There were several reiterations of the board agenda for May 5. The action item is 11. This is the consent agenda under academic affairs. 11.2 is to approve the U.S. Department of Education Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund formula grant. And so that would be.
And he's removing that, so we're not putting, that's not on the consent agenda, right?
Correct. That will be separate discussion and action. There's a item 11.1, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, and 12.4 on the consent agenda. Are there any other comments about removals? If not, I'd like to have someone entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
I approve.
All right, so there's
Second.
a motion, I assume by Dr. Marini and seconded by Dr. Thor, to move the consent agenda, to approve the items on the consent agenda with the exception of 11.2. Is there any discussion on the motion?
There's no discussion on consent agenda.
On the motion, okay. It being, thank you. Being none, then all those in favor vote by saying aye. And I guess I need to call roll on this so we know. Mr. Saar?
I vote yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Aye.
Ms. Nguyen? I missed whatever you said.
I said aye, and there's something really noisy going on in somebody's back.
Mr. Hendricks,
Aye.
Dr. Thor,
Aye.
Ms. Maya,
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
okay. Maybe IT can help you out. We're in the process of voting on the consent agenda. So Dr. Thor, Dr. Narini,
Aye.
I vote aye, and Ms. Maya, student advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries, and we'll move on now to item 11.2 for discussion or action and discussion. Mr. Saar?
We need a motion first.
Yes, I expected you might want to make one.
I'll do that.
Is there a second on Mr. Saar's motion to what? Approve the grant, Mr. Saar?
To accept the grant, yes.
Thank you. Is there a second on this motion?
Second. Linda.
Thank you. There's been a motion to approve the new grant award and seconded. With that, I'll open for discussion. Mr. Saar, I'll move that to you first.
Sure. I want to thank the Chancellor and Dr. Fisher for spending a good portion of the day with me on this item. And if I could ask Dr. Fisher to give us some examples on, well, there's two sides to this grant. One is the side that goes to students and the other goes to the institution or the organization itself. Split evenly, roughly 20 million apiece. And Dr. Fisher provided me later this afternoon with some of the individual colleges' methodology for distributing the $20 million to students. So if I could ask her to give us a kind of a brief scenario on some of the different methodologies that the presidents and their staff have come up with to distribute funds in their institutions. I would appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Saar, for the opportunity. Mrs. Sullivan, Mr. Saar, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, and members of the CEC, and all of our guests that I'm sure are hanging with bated breath on our CARES Act funding. If I can back up for just a brief moment to say that the CARES Act was put in place, and I think there's been some question about whether institutions had to apply for this as we would a federal grant, say a Title V grant. And the answer to that is no. It's funded by a formula, and the institution has the opportunity to, each institution actually has the opportunity to accept or reject the formula in its entirety. I think it's important as well. Another question that I've received is, what happens if we don't spend all the money? Much like any other federal formula grant, it would go back to the federal government if we don't spend it, and it is within very clear parameters, both from the student allocation and the institutional allocation, where those money can go. And so the document that I shared with Mr. Saar today talks about the CARES Act eligibility for students. There are a number of criteria that the federal government has put on, including that they must be enrolled in a credit or clock hour course as of March 13th. They must be a U.S. citizen, and several other pieces and parts to that. Can't be 100% online prior to that date. And I think most notably that the CARES Act eligibility criteria excludes some populations that we've had discussions about in the past, such as our DACA and international students, dual and concurrent enrollment students, non-credit students, those, as I mentioned, who are fully online prior to March 13th. And I think importantly for the board to understand, any MCCD employee or dependent who's already on a tuition waiver would not be receiving these additional funds. So in terms of how the colleges have chosen to allocate their distributions, there are two kinds of methodologies that have been put forward. One is a request form. So students would apply for the funding much as they might apply for a scholarship or any other kind of institutional funding. That will be provided through a request form process centralized through the district office but with customized questions that are weighted by college. So they can get very granular as to what their students need. And again, when you look at the 10 colleges across our very large Maricopa County, each college serves a varied student body, and those student bodies have different needs. And so the colleges want to make sure that they're best serving those. So one is that, is by request. And also they can do it by direct allocation, simply using the criteria, CARES Act eligibility criteria, as well as any other criteria that they wanted to put on it that is allowable within the CARES Act, to do a direct allocation based on a data pull. Again, the district central office will provide the data specialized to each college's eligibility criteria. So I'm going to, simply because it's at the top of my list, I'm going to mention Mesa Community College. They've chosen to use a request form. And so their students will be determined to be eligible through an informational form. As I mentioned, that will be centralized and specialized to the college. And then they're looking for areas of need, specifically healthcare, housing, food, child or elder care, transportation, course materials, technology, and loss of employment, for a total maximum of $550 to any one given student. That's just one methodology. The direct allocation, for example, Phoenix College is going to distribute their first allocation will be through direct allocation, the base amount to students using just the criteria that were provided by the federal government. And they will be, each of the colleges for those direct allocations, again, will be taking their data from our central district research office so that we know that we can rely on that data. Now, some colleges are using a multi-tier process. So they're going to use a request form for the first allocation and a direct allocation for remaining funds. Others are doing it the other way around. So regardless of regardless, each college is determining what it is that they are going to use as their criteria. And we're getting that organized for them with the hope of getting funds out to students starting May 15th, pending, of course, approval by the board. Mr. Saar, did that cover the waterfront for you?
You did very well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I really think this is a difficult thing. If you're going to, it could be very simple if you just divvied it up to every eligible student and then gave each student that amount of money. But I totally understand that each of the colleges serves a different group of people and that their needs might be different. So I appreciate all the work that's been put into this distribution criteria. But it's not going to be easy. We're asking students who are in an unusual position in life to find a way to submit an application or something like that. I just hope that we don't miss students in the process, that any student who meets the criteria in the end is compensated in a way that's equitable with all other students. So good luck to you.
Is there any other discussion on the motion or any other questions? Being none, Miss Maya, as a student, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think this is a great thing for students. Like, as myself, I had a job, I had an internship, I was going to school full time, and on top of that, I was doing other activities. And it was really hard to transfer everything over and to adjust to the pandemic and stuff like that. And it did had a great loss on my financial needs. So I am just one of the many students that are has been suffering from this, and I think this would benefit them a lot.
Thank you. Mr. Saar? Now, I saw your initials come up on mine, so I didn't know if you wanted to speak. Any other board member want to contribute to the discussion? Okay, with silence, then hearing none. There's a motion on the table to approve the new grant award as noted on the agenda. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please vote. Oh, okay. Call your names again. Let me do this. Ms. Maya,
Aye.
Dr. Narini,
Aye.
Dr. Thor,
Aye.
Mr. Hendricks,
Aye.
Ms. Nguyen,
Aye.
Ms. McGrath,
Aye.
Mr. Sarr.
Aye.
The motion and I vote aye. The motion carries 7-0. Thank you. And best wishes to all those who do make the effort and do receive these funds. I know they're sorely needed. So thank you for that. So moving forward then in the agenda, we're now moving to a first read of the MCCD budget for fiscal year 2021. And before we move further, I would like to start off this discussion. And I would like to acknowledge that this budgeting this year, because we were thrown a curve, was really, in general, it's always a relatively difficult task. But this particular year, the ongoing pandemic brought to bear even more pressure and uncertainty on this process. So we had to hurry up and become experts and shift from where we were at the end of February, starting all over essentially in March. And the first thing I want to do is show appreciation or express my appreciation for all the work that everyone has done, not just behind the scenes, but over the last board meetings and work sessions to look at this issue and evaluate the important and valid interests that affect it. Also, as a result of this, as in any situation, but certainly more so, board members have expressed some competing pressures as they've talked about and we've discussed the budget. So that I know the Maricopa Community Colleges depend tremendously on our hardworking faculty and staff for everything that we do, and that we have called on them this year in particular and more recently to do even more to support the students' success in this unprecedented and rapidly shifting situation. If I could look each of you in the eyes, I would hope to be able to express to you my appreciation and thanks for the hard work and dedication that all of you across the board at Maricopa have contributed to accommodating and helping to deliver quality education focused on our students' success. I also know that for more than a decade, the amount that we have paid staff has not kept pace with inflation or the pay of peer institutions. For that reason, and out of a sincere effort to build a compensation package driven by a compensation philosophy, we made a proposal for a small cost of living increase at a rate less than that of inflation, but to begin to reverse the ongoing trend. The pandemic environment, however, has also created the potential for significant financial instability. Because our budget is inextricably tied to student enrollment, and because the effects of the pandemic on that enrollment are so unclear at this time, it is exceedingly difficult to know whether we could afford an appropriate cost of living adjustment without additional revenue in the form of increases in appropriations, taxes, or tuition. I know, unfortunately, it will be several months before we know what is possible, and we have to pass a budget now. Because I do not think we will be able to reconcile the competing views on this issue, I am going to recommend that we remove the cost of living adjustment in the current budget proposal. Please know that I do that with a very heavy heart, because I believe this is an issue that we must address, and soon, and make it a priority in order to retain the talented employees of whom so much of the future of this district depends. It's my sincere hope that we'll be able to raise the topic of salary adjustments again as soon as our financial forecasting is clearer. And at that time, at which I hope we will be able to reach a consensus on how to move forward to recognize and acknowledge financially the work of all of our employees. So with that, I'm going to move us into the budget discussion. As you notice, it does continue to contain a COLA, but I'm going to recommend, as I stated, that we remove that at this time. So there is no action on this item. It's a matter of discussion. So I'm going to open this up to the board for discussion now. And so, board members?
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes, Dr. Thor.
Thank you. I certainly understand your concerns related to the uncertainty of our enrollment for the fall. However, I would like to propose that we not solely put the burden of that uncertainty on our very hardworking employees. I am particularly concerned that the I've forgotten now the exact name of it, but basically the climate survey that was done last year showed a considerable drop in various aspects of employee engagement and employee satisfaction over the last 3 years. And similarly, when Dr. Callaway was here assisting us with the recommendations on how to return representation and voice to classified staff, he wrote a separate addendum that further documented the morale issues with our employees, particularly related to the lack of a compensation philosophy and the inability to move on the schedule and the lack of significant COLAs. I believe, although we certainly haven't done a survey, that we have seen significant improvement in the morale of our employees under Dr. Gonzalez's leadership. And certainly our employees have rallied during this unprecedented time. I am just continue to be astonished at what they have been able to accomplish at a distance without any complaints at all. So it's one thing to say nice things about them, but that you can't take that to the bank. And I think that if we totally remove a COLA, that we are sending a message to these employees at this critical time that we do not value them. I, for one, can identify many places in this budget that we could halt spending now in favor of supporting our employees. But that said, I would ask that we keep the COLA in the budget, but that we not implement it at this time. Rather, let's wait, say, for the 45th day results and determine that there would be some triggers as to whether we would release the COLA and how much. So, for example, we could say if after 45th day our enrollment for the fall is flat, employees will get the full COLA. If enrollment is down, say, a 1 to 15%, then they get a 1% COLA. If the enrollment decline is greater than 15%, then all employees get a one-time only stipend of, $750 or $1,000. But to just wipe it out, I think, is going to be disastrous to the morale of the employees of this district at a time when we need them to continue to go above and beyond to make sure that our students and our communities are served. Finally, you know from my past comments how frustrated I am that we do not have a compensation philosophy in policy, which leads us every year to be having this battle about how we're going to compensate our employees. So at a minimum, we have to again set a deadline and insist that the board be presented with a compensation philosophy for our approval.
Thank you, Dr. Thor. Others for comment, please?
This is Dana.
Yes, Mr. Saar.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. I disagree with some of it for different reasons. Our employees stepped up. There's no question about that. But the good news is for them is that unlike a good portion of the people we serve, their jobs are secure, their benefits are secure. I'm struggling with the idea of taking more money from students from a tuition standpoint, of course, and others, and realizing that the people we serve are barely making it. So the unemployment rate is pushing 40%. I just have a hard time at this point providing additional compensation to our staff when they have a great job. Now, if you're going to talk a stipend, the giveaway program that the feds are working with is going to give all of us, at least I hope at some point, $1,200 stipend. So it's not like they're not going to get something additional, whether you agree with that or not, it is a fact. I really am more disappointed in the budget and the fact that it's the same old budget we've had for the last 10 years that I've been looking at. There's very little innovation. And I think what Dr. Thor said, I want to jump on top of that as well. We've been talking about this compensation package and methodology for years now, and I don't know that I haven't seen anything that shows us where we are on that pathway to getting that done. So I totally agree that it's time that we put a line in the sand that says, you know, if we're not going to do this, then let's drop the thing and find somebody else that can get it done for us, I guess. But at this time, I really can't support a budget that's got any kind of increase in spending for staff or for other services that Dr. Thor talked about. I think it's possible for us to eliminate a lot of committee time. You know, we switched this whole thing around in 2 weeks without a lot of unnecessary discussion. So it's just where it is. I have to agree with Mrs. Sullivan that it's not an easy discussion to have, but in our role as the fiduciary responsibility of this district, I can't see doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that, you know, here we are at first read, and we tried to flesh a lot of this discussion out at work sessions. We didn't get clarity, so here we are. We do have a budget that we have to approve on May 26th in order to be in compliance with all of our guidelines. We definitively have to reach some sort of consensus about how we want this to proceed forward into a budget. So board members, I'd love to have you participate further in this conversation.
Ms. Sullivan, if I may?
Yes, Dr. Narini.
So the budget, whatever it is that we present, and whatever we vote on, if it goes through, I just need some clarification too. So whatever we vote on and it goes through, does that lock us in for the whole year? Is there any way to come back and look at, especially at employee compensation? After we vote on it, whatever the next month, our next meeting, does that lock it in for good for the year, or do we have an opportunity to review it at some other time when we get the 45-day report, for example?
You know, before this is Marie, before I reached my position, I asked similar questions. And my understanding is, as we approve a budget with a certain amount of money, and its primary allocations, it is a budget, but a budget really exists as a point in time. If upon a 45-day recognition of movement one way or the other on enrollment, we will have opportunity to address other issues, whether it is we want to enhance a category or we have to face some expenditure, expense cuts, whatever. So certainly we have the prerogative to reconvene to address a particular issue. And as long as there is money in the general fund to address a particular need, yes, we have the ability to address that. And I expect that there is somebody in finance who could back me up on that, but that was my understanding. So we could talk about a trigger, you know, the 45-day trigger, the or enrollment number trigger, the up and down, similar, very similar to what Linda, Dr. Torres said. So we don't have to, we could do it with the COLA in the budget or without the COLA in the budget, but we could still follow a similar process. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because one of my concerns is, I mean, I think if there's one thing that everybody can agree on, it's that our most valuable asset, our most valuable resource of the district is our employees. And we have a line item in the budget for deferred maintenance. And I think we've deferred the maintenance on the most valuable asset for an awful long time. And that we need to make sure that we pay attention to that most valuable asset.
So again, we have to reach a little bit more consensus so I can understand, so we can understand how to direct the finance office to, if the budget was to remain as it is, we would be taking a vote up or down on May 26th. If we accept my recommendation, it would change, but it would be a budget to vote up and down on May 26th. So it would be helpful if some of the other board members could weigh in a bit.
Just really quickly, so if we consider the triggers, how does that get into the minutes? How does that get into the board history if, to consider the triggers?
Well, it'd be certainly something. Go ahead if anyone else chooses to answer that.
I mean, is that part of the
Certainly, well, certainly it can be top of mind. It can be placed on agenda for discussion. We could have a work session about it. We could make a commitment to do that. We have the opportunity to be scheduling that going forward. We could craft a resolution that upon knowledge of a 45-day enrollment record, we will regroup over this as a key priority. I mean, there are some options within that arena. So someone can correct me or change my comments if that is untrue. So silence is hard to tell where to go with the consensus.
I'm willing to look at the budget as long as we can get those triggers someplace in there. So because what I'm afraid of is that we can sit around and we can agree like, yeah, that's a good idea. We need to put these triggers in. We vote on the budget and then we never come back to them. And
yes,
that's my biggest concern is that whatever we vote on, that we have that locked in, that we come back to revisit our most valuable asset.
Correct. Point well made and well taken. So I hate to call on you all board members, but is there any other comment for discussion before I have to call on you?
President Sullivan, this is Lauren.
Yes.
I just have a question. When we have a position becomes vacant, are we having trouble filling it? Do we get applicants? Are people not applying because our compensation and benefits are not adequate?
Dr. Gonzalez?
Mrs. Sullivan, Mr. Hendricks, my response would be, it may depend on the position. Some have more applicants than others. Some are harder to find, especially those in the areas that are harder to find. It's typically around our ability to compete salary-wise with, in many instances, I think of IT, for example, we compete with the private industry and the number of employees that are available for the jobs that we have, and it makes it difficult to fill those. There have been instances when, we've been snookered by another institution because they beat us to an offer, or they've provided a higher offer. That has happened a time or two in my time as the president at Gateway. I believe that we have possibly some folks from HR that might be on the call that could better answer that. But that's been my working experience. I don't have any data in front of me that I could give you specifics for, but that's been my working experience with that.
So is that the exception then? I mean, in general, I understand there may be specific positions in IT, but let's say we have 100 random positions.
Yeah.
Are 98 of them pretty easy to fill and 1 or 2 in specialty areas difficult to fill?
Again, I'd hesitate to give you a number like that, a percentage or a ratio. But I would say the majority the majority of the positions, if out of 100, are probably going to be ones that have more applicants than perhaps a minority where we struggle to fill a position and sometimes have to close. I mean, we get applicants, and it may turn out these applicants aren't simply qualified. They may believe they're qualified for the job, but they're not meeting minimum qualifications, or if they do make it through a process, that we're not able to compensate them at a level that they are seeking to be compensated at. Do I have George on the line? If Mrs. Sullivan, if I may call upon her, if there's anything that she would like to add from an HR perspective?
Certainly.
Georgetta, are you on the call, on the phone, where you might be able to get on?
Yes, I am, Chancellor.
Could I interrupt, please? Would you please identify yourself by your title and your name? This first name stuff's driving me crazy.
Chief Human Resources Officer Georgetta Kelly. And thank you so much, Sullivan and members of the board and Chancellor. You are correct, Chancellor, in that some positions, depending on their specialized areas, may be difficult to fill, like IT. Some of our entry-level faculty positions are difficult to fill because of the low salary ranges there. And again, you're looking at your science areas, your math areas, some of your other specialty areas in addition that we're having difficulty to fill. And so vacancies are staying open longer than expected due to some of those challenges.
Ms. Sullivan, can I continue?
Yes, please.
I guess it sounds like maybe we should be looking more at, if we have areas that we're not paying enough to attract people, rather than a COLA, maybe we should be looking more at what areas do we need to be offering different compensation to attract the people that we need, and what areas are we offering compensation that is preventing people from perhaps advancing if they had other opportunities. It sounded like, going back a year ago, it sounded like we had kind of a toxic environment, and it's possible that we had compensation that prevented people from seeking employment where they were happier because they couldn't afford to go because of our compensation here. But it doesn't sound like a COLA is the answer to these problems. It sounds like we need to look at what positions are underpaid and what positions are overpaid, which prevents people from moving around and developing their career. I guess I support your initial comments. It's difficult to support a raise of any sort in this environment. I don't know about 45 days, but maybe 6 months we could look at it again and see what the economic climate is at that point.
Thank you. Mrs. McGrath, do you have any comments? Hello, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Does anyone, Mrs. McGrath, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I agree with Mr. Hendrick's position that we ought to zero in on definite certain positions rather than an across-the-board COLA. I don't think we can afford across-the-board COLA, but I think we should look at the budget carefully and perhaps compensate those positions that we have a hard time filling at the better level.
Ms. Nguyen, do you have a comment? And then I'll wrap it up.
Mrs. Sullivan, I appreciate what you said, and I also appreciate what Dr. Thor is saying, which is that if we look at what we've been through or what we're continuing to go through, our professors, I look at everyone across the board, and I think they've done an excellent job. The issue becomes we're in a climate right now that is so uncertain, and our enrollment is down, and we may have to reinvent how we do community college. And I would agree with Mr. Hendricks that maybe 6 months would be the soonest that we could look at this. And so I don't disagree that certain fields or certain things may have a shortage, but I think that's across industry. I don't think it's unique to the community college. So I would have to agree that we couldn't do that at this time. I do like to recognize people when they're doing the job, but we just have too many factors. We still don't have all of our numbers. We are in such flux, and there's so many people without jobs. I just think that it would be irresponsible at this point to do that too. So I agree with where you started. And if we can look at it when we have reached a level footing and we've opened our doors and we have students back in the seats and we're operating as normal, I think then we can have this second discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else right now?
Ms. Sullivan, if I may?
Yes, Dr. Narini.
Yeah, I think 6 months sounds like an arbitrary number. I think if we do look at the 45-day target number, we're looking at what, 4 or 5 months, and I think that's a more realistic number, so that we have. It sounds like the concern is that we don't have actual hard numbers to look at, but I think the 45-day enrollment number would give us those hard numbers to look at. So I think my position would be go forward, but we have to have the definition that we're definitive say that we are going to review it after the 45-day enrollment numbers, and that we will have a compensation philosophy so that we're not going and running this through the ringer year after year after year, so that we have something that we can go by in good times, bad times, and different times, that we can again have that philosophy, have those the parameters in place, so we're not nickel and diming. I mean, because you're right, we need to look at all the positions, across the campus that are difficult to fill and the ones aren't so difficult to fill. But again, we need to show value to our employees. But I would say that 45-day number puts us into what, middle of September, towards the end of September, and look at it then instead of an arbitrary 6 months, but using those numbers at the 45-day enrollment point to again, look at those as a trigger, so what you do with the employees' compensation.
Thank you. When you said move forward, did you intend to imply move forward with the COLA or without the COLA, given your caveats? I was not quite clear on that.
Yeah, I think I was intentionally vague about myself.
Sorry about that.
Figure that out. Because again, I'm looking at the optics of the two. I mean, my gut is let's leave the COLA in. But what I fear is, what does that do to morale if after the 45-day we say, oh, we're just kidding, we have to roll back that, versus we say, let's put it on hold and then see what happens in 45 days and then do the compensation then. I think that my dilemma is my gut says yes, let's give them the COLA and let's 45 days. What I'm afraid of is that if the numbers aren't there, does that hurt morale more by saying, I'm sorry, that COLA didn't, we're going to have to reduce that.
Or RIF employees. I would like to say that first, I acknowledge certainly the passion and the comments of Dr. Thor. And what I'm hearing from everyone here is that there is an interest to take a look and really begin to address this bigger issue of a compensation philosophy, whether it's to include and enhance COLAs going forward, or whether it's to talk about different positions based on demand, environmental impact, those types of things. And we interrupted that process because it was tied to the budget and when we reached the March. And I'm willing, as board chair, certainly to make a commitment that we can be convened to begin those conversations around building a compensation package based on data and information that all of us as board members would like to receive, and work with Ms. Kelly and Dr. Gonzalez in order to do that. And I'm hearing all of you wanting to participate. As far as a trigger for when we would take another look at the budget, I think it's going to come to us whether we go to it. And that's going to be based on enrollment data and certainly other circumstances, but enrollment data. The first time that we do receive solid enrollment data is not just the speculation or what we how we look at the numbers ourselves ongoing, but at that 45-day count. And then we can take a look. I think we don't get information back on that until around 60 days anyway. And we can take a look at the timing of that and then plan that discussion. But what we will already have had then is some framework and discussion, because I would say there are no greater number of employees that deserve recognition than those at the community college, and certainly would like to ensure that we put forward both a philosophy and a practice that recognizes both the dedication and the quality of the individuals. I'm also hearing that there is a consensus to support the recommendation at this time to remove the COLA as a particular line item for all the reasons that all of you have stated. And I would ask you, Dr. Thor, I know, it's always a vote up or down in the final budget, but, I certainly appreciate your position. Not going to ask you where you would vote, but can you move forward with us on the commitment to look at a philosophy and begin those discussions so we could be prepared to make any adjustments when the fiscal arena is more stable?
Let me respond to you this way. That come the vote, if something along the line of what I suggested or Dr. Narini suggested, a very clear commitment to revisit the issue based on data with some understanding of if the data indicates X, we will do X. And that there is a deadline for having a predictable and reasonable and understandable compensation study. I am a no vote on the budget.
So you're saying that you're a no vote if we don't do that?
Correct.
Your commitment, is that what I understood?
That is what you're, that unless tied to and adopted before the vote on the budget, there is a commitment to review this issue at a certain point in time based on the data with triggers attached to it and a deadline for a reasonable, understandable, predictable compensation philosophy.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you. And Dr. Gonzalez, may I mean, this is a tough one, I know. May I invite your comment, please? Any comments?
Yes, Mrs. Sullivan, you may, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so. You know, in hearing the responses and feedback from the board members, I'm taking it all in, and my responses, I think we have an Amber Alert going off on everybody's phone right now. So.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. Yep. Every phone. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Sure. I said in taking in all of the feedback and comments that I've just heard, clearly there are different interests in this, and unfortunately, it's right in the middle of a pandemic. I want to express my appreciation on behalf of the Maricopa employees for supporting policies that have allowed during this time to keep all of our employees employed fully as we move to a remote work environment. And you know, they've all earned the salaries that have come to them. And I also understand that other organizations are having different experiences, and recognize, however, that those organizations are different from us, and we're funded very differently for them. I want to acknowledge that there is uncertainty moving forward. I'm intrigued by a possible relook down the road. I would encourage a 45th day count for the fall, and perhaps a relook again in 45th day spring, so that we don't miss an opportunity if we fall short on a 45th day fall count. I also want to recognize that we've got a systemic issue around salary, and even in a philosophy where we perhaps pay those more than that are in positions that are hard to find, and for all others, we allow the gap to widen between what our indices tell us and what comparable sizable institutions and sizable comparable markets are doing. And if they are higher, it will affect the type of quality that we attract. So I have an interest in representing the employees' interests, and that is one to be compensated fairly for the work that they do, for the education that they have, and the commitment that they've made to our district. And so I'm very interested in the approaches that have been discussed and how we do that, and how we look at our compensation philosophy moving forward. So that's what comes to mind as I hear what's been said. But you know, I can appreciate the difficulty in this decision. I appreciate Dr. Thor's comments on her assessment of where employee morale is at the moment, and in acknowledging my leadership and perhaps having something to do with that. But all that I'm doing to improve morale is giving voice to the employee, and that's true shared governance. And in academia, if we don't have the opportunity for our employees to have a voice to weigh in on the decisions that we make, it doesn't matter how much we pay them, they're not going to be happy. So there needs to be a careful strike in the balance of the two things: the opportunity to participate in a form of shared governance and have a voice at the table, and to also be compensated fairly. Those two things need to go hand in hand if we're going to be the dynamic, innovative organization that Maricopa can be and can continue to work on being. So I appreciate the opportunity to offer these comments, and that's what I've got to say.
Thank you. We were presented with a big budget, and Dr. Moore and Mr. Yaquinto and all of their team have worked extremely hard to give us the product we have. I focused our initial discussion directly into the COLA. Perhaps some of you have other comments. I'd like to close the COLA comment where I'm hearing a consensus that we most likely, that we will, at this point, remove the COLA. But we will also work, and I will, Dr. Thor, work with you on behalf of the board for us to begin to frame perhaps something to circulate and perhaps call a special work session with the board to look at that other item that you raised, and at least to make the commitment to keep that conversation going and put it into the ledger, if you will, for on how we move forward. So with that, then again, we have a 50-some, how many page budget. Are there any other comments on this budget? So again, we know where to move forward. So when we look at a final document with numbers for a vote, we're clear. Are there any other comments on the budget? We had a tax issue. We had other issues. I believe we resolved, my impression is we resolved the tax concern. But again, Dr. Moore, Mr. Yaquinto and their teams are going to need further direction, either to move forward or not with what this document is. Any other comments, board members? Wow, this is the most silent I have ever heard a meeting here online. There's no rustling in the background. There's no one speaking other than I'm filling a vacuum here. Board members, again, we really need to give absolute direction to Mr. Yaquinto. So this is your opportunity. Please comment if you.
I've got one more comment. This is Lauren again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hendricks.
I'm not opposed. I just want to clarify my comments. I'm not opposed to the COLA, and I'm not necessarily opposed to trying to increase compensation or benefits to attract people to some of these positions. My concern right now is what we're really doing is we're fiduciaries of the taxpayer or funds that we manage for the district. And right now today, I don't know about 45 days, but I'm guessing at least 45 days. I don't think I know a family that isn't affected by somebody being unemployed or somebody having their hours cut or somebody having challenges making ends meet right now, whether that be business owners or line level workers or whatever else. It's just everybody. And it kind of reminds me of the days back when we had the recession started and we were hearing about hedge funds were they're foreclosed on houses everywhere, and the banks and hedge funds are giving their managers and their staff raises for the great jobs they did of destroying the economy. And I just think to myself, I don't know how I go to people who are out of work completely, partially out of work, their hours. In fact, I'm staying in a hotel right now. The lady at the front desk, I know her somewhat because I'm here frequently, and she commented they cut her hours by half. And she says, they haven't cut my mortgage by half. And she's just making conversation, but she's stressed because her income is substantially reduced. Two of my adult children are applying for unemployment because they don't have work. And I just think it just looks bad in this economy right now to say we were talking about raising taxes and giving our employees a raise. And I just want to clear, I'm not opposed to the COLA. I'm not opposed to the compensation increase. I just think right now the timing, it just doesn't look good. And whether the 45-day enrollment numbers come in better or not, if the economy is the way it is right now, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't smell good. It's like the banks may have been doing tremendously well when they gave their executives $1 million bonuses when half the country was losing their houses. It just didn't look good. And as a question, Dr. Thor mentioned areas that we might be able to reduce spending or suspend spending. And I guess I'd be curious, what areas are you thinking of?
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Well, one is, in some of these, they're small amounts, but let me look at my earlier documents. There was a reference to, you hear me turning papers, something about increasing the amount of money that's available for presidential scholars and honors programs. I can't understand why we're putting in the budget an increase to those programs if we're anticipating a 25% enrollment decline. I don't understand why we're continuing to, I believe it's $2 million to import. And the Rio Salado people will hate me for this, but I think there's $500,000 in there for Rio National. And it would be helpful if we knew whether we were going to get our return on investment in some of those kinds of things. Dr. Narini referenced the deferred maintenance, and we need to do deferred maintenance on our employees. I'm not suggesting we don't do deferred maintenance, but everything else seems to be status quo to me. And it doesn't seem right to place the whole burden on the backs of our employees. For example, travel, memberships, all kinds of things that were on the earlier list need to be looked at proportionally to what we're doing to our own employees. It just seems too convenient to me to always make the employees be the ones who pay while everything else goes on business as usual.
Both Mr. Hendricks and Dr. Thor, I appreciate that there's an interest to look further into these other things. I think that what we need to do is stay at the high level right now. And then as we, and Mr. Saar made a point that he'd like to see a budget reworked, but we're not there. And finding $9.3 million by looking at expenses is certainly something, but I would hate to, that's more operational at this point. So I fully respect your interest in the question and your comments, Dr. Thor, but I'm going to keep us at the big picture issues and then comment that we can take a look at the use of expenses versus revenue generation when we begin to tackle this bigger issue of salaries.
Mrs. Sullivan, this is Dana.
Yeah.
I didn't even consider having a rewrite of this budget in the next 3 weeks. That's something that takes somewhat longer, but I think it's time that we look at our budget in a different way. That it's time. I do think, to cut to the chase, that we've got the ability to put a meeting together. The president can call one to discuss compensation, whether it's 45 days, 60 days, or 6 months. The economy is going to drive a lot of what we want to do here, and it's too unknown to make any predictions or triggers or anything like that at this point. The time comes, it comes, and we address it at the time. I think we're fully capable as a board of doing that without having to lock things in that we can't commit to.
So thank you. So this would be nice. Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes, Dr. Gonzalez.
If I just, when I hear that, I just want to offer getting a lot of feedback. I just want to offer a point of clarification. I think what I may be understanding may be a misunderstanding of what we mean by the 45th day. The 45th day is a census count that takes place the 45th day after the start of the fall semester. That would put us into probably late September, early October. So that's approximately 5 months from now. And the 45th day in the spring would put us into sometime late February, early March. So I just wanted to offer that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is where I think, again, we've talked about making commitments. I would like us then as a board, again, to craft some framework of a commitment to take a look at as a priority at compensation philosophy, begin to frame that. We need to move forward with the budget based on the consensus that I heard today. We have all, again, in one way or another, agreed that having a better picture of fiscal health based on some enrollment numbers and other pieces is imperative for us to make other decisions. And looking at an overall piece, and Dr. Gonzalez, this is something as we start on next year's budget after we approve this budget, and that is, how does a budget look differently, and what can we do differently in looking at that, and getting good minds together to really begin to address that. And to Dana's, Mr. Sarr's point, we are talented, all of us, and the staff, I'm going to say this out loud, board, is more talented in this area. And working together, we can get to a solution that begins to bring out and address these concerns and issues that have come up tonight in this presentation. We all have the values we want to bring to the table by how we recognize employees. We have our values and how we want to be fiscally responsible to our constituents, our taxpayers, but also within the district construct. And we want to acknowledge the quality efforts that occur every day to engender success by all of our students. So we have a point in time, we have a deadline on this one particular piece. Mr. Yaquinto, Dr. Moore, Dr. Gonzalez, I think that you have a sense of where we need to go with this particular budget in this point in time. And so unless there's further discussion, I'm going to move us off of first read on this budget. Being none, then is there any comment on item 14.1? Being none, is there any comment on item 15.1? Moving forward then, board members, governing board reports. I'm going to go down the list again. Mr. Sarr?
No report.
Ms. McGrath?
No report, thank you.
Mrs. Nguyen?
No report, thank you.
Mr. Hendricks?
No report, but thank you.
Dr. Thor?
No report.
Dr. Narini?
No report, just thank everybody for doing a wonderful job and keeping us going.
Ms. Maya? Ms. Maya? And I have nothing other than to, again, thank you all for your time and attention. These meetings handled remotely are a little awkward on occasion. I appreciate everyone's effort that made this meeting possible. We have our next formal meeting scheduled for May 26th at 6:30. And the items of agenda that are already put out there are placed. If there's a need for a special meeting pursuant to some other items prior to that, I'll communicate that as soon as possible. So if there is no other comment for the good of the order, I'm going to adjourn our meeting this evening. Thank you all and be safe out there.